Hi, I wanted to go through the slider settings and some other basic settings that are going on that we use for the current church services. These are a bit of a work in progress, but let's have a look at what they're at right now. So to do that, I'm going to share my screen. And what you should see is the Behringer. So the first thing I want to point out is the slider differences between the Sanctuary and VMix. So if we look at the Sanctuary, we'll notice that piano, congregational left, congregational right, condenser 1, and condenser 2 are essentially down at 0. They're all turned off. The belief on this is that the piano doesn't need any help projecting into the Sanctuary. And the congregation singing doesn't need any help projecting, and neither does the organ. So we have these turned off so that we won't get any feedback from the PA system, because we have those speakers broadcasting and these microphones open. Why, it's a good feedback situation right there. The other place where we have that is condenser 1 and condenser 2. And my hope is that we can use these to pick up the choir. But in that case, we're going to have those microphones aimed right at the speakers. So if the speakers are picking up anything from the microphones, there's going to be feedback. The one microphone that I did leave open is the pulpit mic, because traditionally this hasn't fed back because it's close enough and it's far enough under the speakers that it doesn't really have a feedback problem. And we also need projection for the pulpit mic, because that's where the preacher is actually preaching, and they're actually expecting the sound system to carry what they're saying. I also need to point out that if we're not using this, the microphone is just unjacked. It's not even being used. So it doesn't really present a feedback danger. If we go up to VMix, it's a very different story. We can see that all those sliders are up. And so we're picking up the piano, congregation left, congregation right, which is basically singing plus organ. We're also picking up the lectern, because we'll always need that. And then we also have condensers here, so that if we have the choir singing, we'll be picking that up as well. And of course, we have the pulpit mic that's coming in. Those are the basic differences between the VMix and the Sanctuary. There are some other things to note as well. The first is the channel input. And you'll notice that for the lectern, this little phantom button is not turned on. But if we go to congregation left, we'll notice phantom power is turned on. Same with congregational right, same with condenser 2, and importantly, same with the pulpit mic. So condenser mics, like the shotgun mics that are up on the wall, or the black mics that have the long stems, the Shure Centroverses, need power from the mixer to be able to operate. And that's what phantom power is. The dynamic mics, I call them the rock and roll mics. They don't need phantom power, but the condenser mics do. And that's another reason why we always want to jack the same mic into the same input, is because those settings are turned on. The other area where we've begun to start to make settings is in this EQ area. And this, if you take a look, there's no setting for piano, or in this case, pulpit mic. But if we come and we look at the congregation left or the congregational right, we notice we have the low cut filter turned on. And the reason that we're starting to make these settings is because if you go out on the net and read about how you're supposed to set your congregational input mics, they say that you should set your low cut filter because it takes out kind of a low end rumble that kind of comes in. So we've started to make those settings. Now I set that at 55 Hertz for the low cut filter. Other people that I've talked with have it set up around 185, 190, somewhere in that range. And this is where we just need to start playing with it and see what's best for our room and our sound system. So at this point in time, not much progress, but just to make you aware that has been set. I haven't set that here for the choir mics, but when the choir sings, it's something to keep in mind when we do the setup. So those are the other settings that have been made. This is a work in progress. There are reverb effects that I think would be very good for us to apply, especially for the VMix and for the singers. I think the EQ can continue to sharpen things up. And for anybody that wants to get involved in making these settings, please let me know. Let's go over together and let's do some experimenting, and we'll find out what's going to work best. So those are the settings.